Outcome number 1. Nothing will change other than the fact that 343 now has 100 plus less employees working for them, and the quality of Halo Infinite will continue to suffer. Even further, and updates will be few and far between. I think this is the least likely of the outcomes, as it would be incredibly foolish, but then again, it's not unheard of for this to happen in the gaming industry.
Oh shit, here we go again.
So today I've got yet another video I didn't plan on making, but there has been a lot going on with Halo lately, so I just wanted to cover it and let you know what is going on, as well as my opinion on what this means for the future of the franchise. So 343 has just tweeted out, quote, "Halo and the Master Chief are here to stay. 343 Industries will continue to develop Halo now and in the future, including epic stories, multiplayer, and more of what makes Halo great." End quote. Now that came from the studio head of 343, Pierre Hintz, who was put in charge after Bonnie Ross left a few months back. So, yeah. One of the things I was most afraid of is actually happening. As you saw in that intro, while I did think it was the least likely outcome of all, it is apparently the outcome we're getting. 343 is going to continue to develop Halo games with a third of their workforce, and that's very concerning to say the least. We already know that 343 wasn't doing too well with Halo Infinite's live service aspect, and even the base game, to this day, is missing features and full of issues like long loading screens, a broken theater mode, no mission select, split screen getting cut, poor optimization, etc. So how is 343 going to work on Halo Infinite further to any effective degree? But this isn't the only issue, in fact. I think we have a bigger problem here. In my last video, I had expressed concern that potentially the wrong people were fired because I had seen no indication that any of the other management at 343 was let go or shuffled around. Instead, we lost a lot of people who worked on the art team. Some of them even blamed the upper management for all the problems with Infinite. And then we also lost the single-player content people, which suggests that not only will we not get any single-player DLCs for Infinite, which was something that was heavily implied, but also, we may not get any more Halo games with a campaign at all. It's no secret that campaign is not where 343 and Microsoft get a majority of their money from. That's literally why it was sold as DLC to the main part of Halo Infinite. And a lot of FPF games like Call of Duty, and I know EA did it with Apex Legends, it was kind of related to Titanfall, but then it's just this online-only multiplayer thing. They're all moving in that direction of just not having a campaign, simply because campaigns cost a lot of money to produce, and they're not as profitable as multiplayer and cosmetic content that can be sold for exuberant prices at a virtual store as, microtransactions. So, taking this, and the fact that it seems like no one in management was let go, this whole incident may spell even more trouble for the franchise in the future. Now, I've heard people saying that since Bonnie Ross is gone, things will be a lot better, and the new studio head Pierre Hintz will be, he'll fix everything. They're pointing out that he was responsible for, quote, saving MCC. But to that I say, do you really trust the guy that was in charge of MCC? The same MCC that 8 years after launch still has major bugs and issues like achievements not working, random crashes, a horrendous quit ban system that 343 has seemed to have doubled down on recently and made it longer. Random Skyrim armors that do not fit the Halo aesthetic that nobody asked for, a still broken hit detection, especially on Halo 3, one of the worst UIs that's been recently redesigned to somehow be worse than it was before that I've ever seen, and then a broken, forced, skill-based matchmaking system even when you search for a social game. Add to all of this that they were still going to add microtransactions to this 8-year-old game. Now, I know they backed down on the microtransactions bit in the end, but consider this. At the time, microtransactions were being proposed for MCC, both Halo Infinite and MCC were suffering from abysmally low player counts. The Halo brand as a whole had been tarnished beyond repair, and Halo was at its worst state it had been up until recent events. So I don't believe for a second that 343 saw the negative feedback around adding those microtransactions and actually decided to listen to us. I think they just realized they couldn't afford to take another hit to their reputation given all that had been going on. Then you add to all that the fact that in the end they just gave us retroactive Spartan points for the levels we had to grind through, and then we could just get things from the exchange, right? This just proves that it was never about what they were capable of. It was never about game design. It was all about setting up a grindy progression system from day one to encourage the purchase of microtransactions that were probably supposed to be implemented earlier, but they just had issues with delays. There's information about that. You can go look that up for yourself. The entire MCC progression system is based off of grinding, with loads and loads of intentional filler that nobody was asking for except the people at 343 and Microsoft that wanted to make money. So I ask you again, do you really want to put your faith in Peter Hinsey? So there are some good things about MCC in recent years. I'm not saying there was nothing good. We did get a few new maps for Halo 3, as well as Flood Firefight, which is very cool. We got a customs browser that, well, it's kind of clunky. It works sometimes, usually. And we also got mod support, which is a big thing, but I still don't think that it makes up for all the problems that I just mentioned, and add to this that everything related to MCC is just what 343 has to do to maintain games that already exist. We're not talking about making an entirely new game from scratch, or even working on an engine that's been tried and tested, right? The original Halo games, they worked. Halo 1, 2, 3, 4, Reach, ODST, they worked. We know they worked. Halo Infinite's engine has not really proven to work. So you're talking about that 343, if they are going to make new games, or work on the current game, they have to do all the work, and their track record hasn't been great. And again, now they have a third of their workforce. Going back to campaign, I think it's very concerning that we might not have a campaign anymore. I mean, it really seems like with Halo Infinite going free-to-play live service, Microsoft or 343 or both at this point are once again pushing Halo towards trends rather than what Halo used to do best. I honestly think that at this point we can expect an online multiplayer-only Halo experience. Now, I know that some of you might say, well, they said they would continue to make epic stories, but the thing is they haven't defined what that means. In fact, the entire tweet is incredibly vague. Do they mean the Halo TV show is an epic story? The books? The comics? Because they axed their single-player team from what it seems, and as I said in my last video, normally development for the campaign of the game begins when or just before the latest game launches. So it would seem that it might be cut out or put on hold indefinitely. On top of this questionable new leadership that we have, much of the old leadership still remains running the show. People like Frank O'Connor, who is well known to have destroyed the Halo lore, and Kiki Wolfkill, who is responsible for transmedia, meaning the books, comics, TV show, and we all know how that last one turned out, are still in charge. So now 343, again, has far less resources, seems to be moving away from any single-player content at all, and, excluding Bonnie Ross, has the same incompetent, big-headed leadership they've had for the past 10 years. I don't see how there's any positives to this. I really don't want to see Halo become another soulless, online-only multiplayer shooters like so many out there. But it seems like Halo has gotten the worst possible outcome, losing all semblance of its original charm and individuality, and I think that this has been one of the darkest weeks for the Halo franchise in a long time, if not in the franchise history. Things aren't looking up from here, but I want you to let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think 343 can salvage anything good out of this, or do you think Halo is screwed? I personally think the latter. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. I have been Broken Circle. Thank you as always for watching. Have a great day, and stay safe. Goodbye, guys.